You are listening to the Your Next Season podcast, the show designed to keep you informed and uplifted through candid conversations with our guests and host, motivational speaker, and life coach, Gigi Hopkins. Be sure to like and subscribe. And now, here's your host, Coach G.
Hello, and welcome to Your Next Season podcast. My name is Gigi Hopkins, and you know what I always say. I'm super excited about today's podcast, or today's show, I should say, and listen. Yes, I know. I say this with every show, and like I say in every show, I actually mean it. Listen, you guys have heard me petitioning for my guest to come on this show, and I finally got her. Yes, we got our schedules together and we are making it happen. So help me welcome to the Your Next Season podcast, Mrs. Ellie. And Ellie, if I mess up this last name, it's Wansley, right?
You got it,
Yes.
Wansley. There you go.
So help me welcome Ellie Wansley to the Your Next Season podcast. Ellie, welcome to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. I don't know if I've ever felt more welcome, Gigi. I appreciate that. That was a grand entrance right there. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Listen, Ellie, the last time I had Jeanette Grimes on, who we're going to talk about your book, and your book falls under Lazille.
Yes.
And I told her, I said, I've got to get Ellie on this show. I've got to get her on this show. There are a number of reasons, Ellie, why I wanted you on this show. I wanted you on this show mainly because of your book. This should be easy. We're going to talk about this book. Oh my God. Listen, I'm an avid reader, and I promise you, this book blessed my soul.
Oh.
And I wanted you on this show just for a number of reasons. I was first introduced to you, and I really wasn't one-on-one introduced. I was kind of introduced to your ministry, I would say,
right.
At the Gathering of the Daughters conference, when I heard you speak. And I sat there as I'm listening to you, and I just remember just closing my eyes and thanking God that I was in the house, because circumstances and situations was pushing at me and pressing at me. I almost didn't make it.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm so glad I was in the house. You blessed me. I said, this little bitty girl with all of this power. And I don't mean little bitty girl in a disrespectful regard, but you know, I'm probably old enough to be your mama, or real close to it. And so it was just blessing me because, you know, I was rooted in church, grew up in church, always church. And to grow up and to get to this ripe old age of 55, and to still see young people, and I know that you're in your 40s. We're going to talk about that. But just to see young women still being completely, and the word completely is cap lock, completely sold out to Christ. It just blessed me. And it was something that just connected me to your spirit in that hour. And then I found out that you wrote a book. And I had to support it. And I remember I was in another engagement when you launched your book release.
Yeah.
And I said, I gotta go because I gotta get back to Richmond. And that was an hour and a half drive for me. But I said, I got to get back to Richmond.
My God.
Because I have to support her. And I remember putting it on my calendar, and I was like, oh, this is the day I have a speaking engagement. It doesn't matter. I'm going to chuck it back to Richmond. And I think your event shut down at 5. I think I got there at 5, but I was like, listen, I was on time still.
You were there. And it meant everything to me.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah.
So I truly want to say again, welcome to the Your Next Season podcast, but thank you for your authenticity. in the body of Christ. It is
Absolutely.
just so refreshing. It is so refreshing. So again, I say welcome. So what I like to do, tell us a little bit about Ellie Wansley, just so our viewers could get to know you a little bit, and then we're going to talk about this wonderfully put together book.
Gigi, I am. If I wasn't overwhelmed before, I'm overwhelmed now. And I told you, prior, I said, listen, I got my tissue ready because I'm such an emotional person. I absolutely, I can't not wear my emotion right on my sleeve. But something that you kept saying, and it echoes who I am. You keep using the word authentic, right?
Mhm.
I don't know any other way to be.
Yes.
There's no two Ellies. With
Mhm.
me, what you see is what you
Love
get.
it.
There's
Love
not
it.
the book Ellie and the conference Ellie. There's not the speaker Ellie and this is me and everything
Mhm.
I am and what God created me to be. And I need you to understand the passion behind that and who Ellie
Yeah.
is and why this is my brand. My brand is to be relatable
Mhm.
and transparent
Yes.
because Gigi, the culture we live in, my God, is everything but that.
Yes. Yes.
So if I can
Yes.
be that refuge and that safe place to say, "Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, she gets it. Oh my gosh, she's not
Yes.
just like the other person on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Oh my goodness, she's actually going through the same thing I went. I want to be that thing that says,
Yes.
I know what social media is saying, but I'm telling you what I'm living for real."
Yes.
Right. So this is Ellie, this is me, and I just don't know how to be any other way because when you're surrounded and
Mhm.
you're in a society with uh, um, duplicates and replicas of this and
Mhm.
other versions of this, but it's all the same. I want to
Mhm.
be that one out of the box to say, wait a minute, this is no, no, no,
Yeah.
so I think that's my drive because when you're looking for some type of solace, right? Some type
Mhm.
of in the midst of the void and the things that you're reaching out for something. You want to grab onto something that's actually real, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
authentic is, I feel like, the perfect word, right?
Yes.
So this is me, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Like you said, growing up in church,
Mhm.
right? And let's not equate that to, oh man, you've been on a straight and narrow your whole. Nah, sis.
Yeah.
No, that's not
Mhm.
what that means. I said I grew up in church, but my foundation has
Yes.
always been and
Mhm.
still is, even in the ups and the downs, has
Yeah.
been Jesus Christ, and
Yeah.
that's what has grounded me. So this is Ellie.
Absolutely.
This is who I
Absolutely.
am. Yeah.
I love it. And when I read your book, this should be easy. So I'm going to hold it up and we'll see. I've held, this is probably my third time on this show holding this book up, but this
Oh
time
wow.
it is such a privilege to sit here with the author and hold it up. The last time it was with the publishing company, Real
Okay.
Enterprises,
Yeah.
with Jeanette Grimes, who happens to be, word on the street is, who happens to be your mama.
Mama.
And I tell you, my whole goal and my whole focus, Ellie, with this podcast is to bring awareness. And what I love about this book, so I am going to cheat. I normally don't look down and read what I wrote, but I don't want to miss a word.
No
Um,
worries. Go for it.
so the things that I loved about the book, I start writing down. I was like, let me just come up with some one worders that really hooked me with this book. The first thing on my paper was authenticity.
Ah.
I loved how authentic you were. Transparency came to my mind. At the end of the chapters, you have this reflection. Love those. Those were wonderful throughout the book. Nuggets. You dropped so many nuggets. The biggest nuggets are in the little quotes at the very beginning and
Ah.
the reflections at the end. But
Yeah.
intertwined in between the chapters was a lot of nuggets. This book
Mhm.
is so marked up and so tabbed up. It's crazy.
I love it.
And one of the other words I used was relatable.
Mm.
because the things that you mentioned in here, the honesty that comes with it, I can't think of a mother, and we're going to dive into the book shortly, but I can't think of a mother that would read this book and not find at least one thing in there that's relatable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
Yep.
you were just a bold soldier to say it, something that we all were thinking. And I can't wait to get to one of those parts, because the other thing that I loved and I gave one word to was humor. There's so much humor in this book. Ellie, I was at I was going to say the beach. I was actually out at the pool when I read this book, right?
Okay.
I did not get up. And anyone that knows me, number one, I actually shouldn't be out in the sun too long because of my skin. But I also am not a person who really likes a lot of outdoor. But I got out there and I started reading it, got in that lounge chair at the pool, and I did not get up until the book was done.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
that good. I was so locked in. People are looking at me because I'm laughing one minute. I'm kind of getting teary-eyed at another. And I'm like, yes, Ellie, you tell them. So I had a lot of emotions reading the book as well. But
wow.
the humor was so impressive because I don't even think you were trying to be funny. It just was funny. Another word I used was teachable. There are so many teachable moments in this book. I don't think I've ever read a book that I could say so many one-worders for it. Also, I loved how, and this is more than one word, but I loved how the cover of your book, even though you told the story in the book, the cover alone tells a story. It tells two separate stories. And that's what I was saying to Miss Jeanette when she was on, that the cover alone tells a story.
That's it.
Really does.
Yeah.
And then I put honesty and then marriage moments because I love the marriage moments that's in there as well. And one of the things, and I'm going to jump into the book and the interviews and the questions, but I want to look at this cover again. I don't know if everybody can see it, but this cover tells so many stories. So when I look at it, we're going to talk about what you meant for it to be, but from my perspective as the reader, when I first looked at it, I thought, oh, this is a children's book. Boy, was I wrong.
Right.
And, the more I started reading, I'm like, oh, wait, no, this book is not for the children. This is a whole adult book. But the cover, and then once I read it, I went back and reinterpreted the cover. And I said, okay, so now what I see is a working mom trying to juggle, trying to get work done, trying to have that one thing that is the most important thing in life, period. And that's that cup of coffee. Well, outside of Jesus,
outside of Jesus,
that cup of coffee is necessary. And then just trying to also have time for your children. And then I loved the other piece where the kids look like they're getting ready to go to church. They're all dressed up. You're trying to juggle, getting yourself ready, trying to get them ready for church. So I just love the story that the cover alone told. So let's dive into This Should Be Easy. How did you even come up with the title of the book? Let's start there, and then we'll just go ahead and dissect the rest of the book.
You know what, Gigi? I'm laughing because in my head I'm like, all right, Ellie, don't start out deep now. But you asked the question, so I got
to go deep.
I have to. I know for some people it's like, oh, I don't want to be so spiritual, but I don't have any other way to say
That's
it.
Right.
And what prompted me and what provoked this title alone that led to a series, right? This is just installment number 1, and we'll delve into that later. But it was almost like an aha moment, right? That I had, and I talk about this in the intro of my book. But in that aha moment, and if anyone knows me, I've always been a writer, right? And when I'm talking, I have stacks and stacks of journals from when I was a teenager. I still have them. I'm 42 years old. I still have them. And so this particular aha moment, led to me late nights, early mornings, just jotting down things, right? And the Holy Spirit immediately, and out of frustration, I talk about this, out of frustration, I think I may have said internally, why is this so hard? Or, this, but from that, the Holy Spirit was saying, okay. And then okay, now book number 2. Now, this should be easy, but And I'm going to tell you why, right? And so this came in three parts, and he gave it to me. I'm talking bam, 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 just like that.
Yeah.
But that little aha moment, right, where I'm just like, I am 40 years old. Nothing should be this hard right now, right? So it really stemmed from that, and I want to take it a bit further, right?
Yeah.
Um, it was almost the and it was almost the raw
Mm.
reality. And I have to say this out loud because a lot of times those fears that are, underneath the surface, right?
Mhm.
The subconscious thing, giving words to it makes it even more real. And this
Yeah.
is the thing we shy away from, right?
Mhm.
So in having this title and in moving to make it a memoir, it was the recognition of the raw reality of who Ellie was
Mhm.
and who I wanted to be or
Mhm.
thought I was going to be, clashing with who I was becoming.
Ooh, that's powerful.
And it was the fear of, well, you're not that anymore.
Mhm.
This is
Mhm.
this is who you are now. And it was those two Ellies coming together
Yeah. Yeah.
that said, I had to give a voice to that. I recognized it, right?
Mhm.
But then I had to give a voice to that. What does that mean for me now? So,
Yeah.
yeah. And here we
Yeah.
are.
I love it. And so the thing that should have been easy is being a mom of two and you're 40.
My
And
God.
one of the things that I chuckled, but I also understood the severity of how you interpreted this term that was deemed to your pregnancy, and that was a geriatric pregnancy. Now, as I started reading through this book and learning you through the book, I said I can picture her face when they told her that this is a geriatric pregnancy. So let's unveil what the term geriatric pregnancy even mean or meant for you, and how did you feel when you heard it?
Listen here, Gigi. Listen here. Let me tell you something. You talking about a confidence killer? I said, say
Yeah.
what now? So, I'm going to these prenatal appointments, and it was so much hitting me at one time because
Mhm.
I delve into a little bit of this in the book, but it wasn't just the age, right? But in the middle of that, we're right in the beginning of something called COVID, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
this is I'm being hit from every side.
Yeah.
First of all, why is this called geriatric? I've never heard this term as it relates to pregnancy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So and even now I'm laughing at myself because mind you, my daughter's 5 now and my son is 3. And I'm thinking about how I felt then and
Mhm.
and now looking at, recent experiences. And so my daughter's 5 and I'm laughing to myself because I must have said this so many times to the point now before my daughter comes to play with me or she sees me sitting on the couch or she always says now, Gigi, I lied to you not. Mommy, which leg hurt today? Is your leg okay? I said, it's almost like she has to prepare me, like she knows. And
Yeah.
I find myself saying, Mommy can't pick you up right now. My back hurt. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm laughing to myself because I'll wake up now and is it cold outside? Why are my
Yeah.
muscles aching? Now I'm hearing older people say these things, but I'm like, wait a minute, I am the older people now. I just
Yeah, yeah. You have graduated into that thing that you once thought, why is she thinking it's cold and I'm blazing hot? Or
it's me
why is
now.
she always saying her knees hurt when it's cloudy outside? Oh, I am now her. She is me and I am her.
Mean, waking up, joints aching, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't have time for this. So,
that is hilarious.
this is where I am now, Gigi. It's just,
Yes.
it's a blessing, but it's the reality of where I am.
Yes. And so your book actually talks about your pregnancy. And so we chuckle a bit about the geriatric pregnancy, but just even as a healthcare practitioner myself, I understand what, after about 33 on up, they consider it a high risk
It's high risk.
pregnancy. And it really is. And so I wish they'd come up with a better term though, because geriatric pregnancy is and you mentioned in the book, that's a blow to somebody's confidence, and it really can be.
Yeah.
But what did you, and this is again, I love your transparency and your honesty in your sharing your story so that other listeners and readers can get your perspective of what you went through your geriatric pregnancy, if you will. Not my terms, just the physician's terms.
Right.
But we do know that that is a high risk that comes to it. But
Mm-hmm.
what was the difference in you picturing life as a younger Ellie having a child to the Ellie that had a child close to 40?
Let me tell you something. Great question. I'm so glad you asked that. Well, let me say this. Being high risk, developing preeclampsia,
Mm,
taking blood pressure medicine,
mhm.
and even at one point, I was giving myself insulin. I was borderline diabetic. I mean, all
Oh,
these things,
wow.
right? And I didn't talk about that in the
Mhm.
book, but
Yeah.
I have all these medical complications. So when they say geriatric and they equate that to just being high risk,
Yeah.
it absolutely was for me. And so I want to say this: being a mother at 20 or 20 something, and I'm saying this from personal experience. In my early 20s, I had the honor of, I think I was in about 3 weddings, right?
Mhm.
Um, 3 of my girlfriends were married before the age of 25. So I got to see firsthand early 20s,
Mhm.
that journey from wife to motherhood. And I'm saying this for a reason.
Mhm.
My perception of motherhood as a younger Ellie,
Mhm.
it wasn't a perception of perfection. It was just viewed through a very narrow lens. And what I
Oh,
mean
that's
by
good.
that is I saw all my friends become mothers at
Mhm.
young 20 something year olds, right? And I just saw oh man, I can't wait I'm going to have a boy and a girl. I'm going to be a mom too. I saw motherhood
Mhm.
absence of worry. I
Uh-huh.
saw motherhood absence of fears and struggles. I just saw them being moms to their kids, right?
Mhm.
That was my narrow lens. I just saw, oh man, I'm going to be a mom like that one day too.
Yeah.
Fast forward 2 decades later, I'm seeing motherhood through every tiny detail
Mhm.
that makes it what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, they got a dentist appointment here. They have a doctor's appointment. This is what I didn't see at 20.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, pickup is at 6:30. Library day is Monday. All right, she needs more iron pills. The doctor said this, and this is what I'm seeing now. You don't see the 2 a.m. Oh my goodness, she has a fever.
Mhm.
You don't see the 4 o'clock and oh, he wants to get in the bed with me again. He's crying. Oh, you don't see the what do I do for an ear infection? I've never had a sick kid before.
Mhm.
I didn't see any of that. All
Yeah.
I saw was, man, I'm going to be a mom too one day, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing everything it takes to be that. So there's
Yeah.
the dynamic is
Mhm.
just my viewpoint. My perception was very narrow, very limited.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. One of the things I loved, and my book, if you can see, I've got it heavily tabbed up here.
love it.
It's heavily marked. But one of the things that I loved, and I'm gonna see if I can find that page because it was the funniest thing. When you talked about number one, you talked about stepping on those Legos. So that was hilarious to me.
And I'm still stepping on them today, Gigi. I'm still stepping on them.
But one of the things when you talked about, and I think this was your son, he was a newborn, and you made this comment, and I said, "Oh my God, if I didn't feel that way 1,000 times." You talked about your 15 minutes, Ellie. When I tell you I hollered at that pool, because I was again reading this at the pool, but you talked about how you thought you had gotten him quieting down, and then he started squirming. He was moving and the kicking and the turning. And this, to quote you, you said, "This is supposed to be my 15 minutes. No, 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 no. You do not get to do this. You do not get to take a whole day devoted to you and steal my 15 minutes." Ellie, you put in print The one thing that at least every mother on the planet had thought. Now, see, the difference between you and I started early. I was 18 when I
Wow.
had my first child.
My mom was. Yeah.
And so, listen, my perspective was real different. I looked at that little boy and I'm like, I'm going to need you to be quiet because this is my moment that I'm supposed to get a little nappy. And here you go crying again.
Again.
So
Okay.
this, when I'd say relatable, this right here, and I could just picture it. But this book is laced with so many transparent moments, just like that. So when you're talking about your journey with pregnancy, you're talking about your journey with the complications. And like you just said, you had some borderline diabetic complications, preeclampsia. Anybody knows pregnancy know that preeclampsia is definitely a sticky and tricky situation when it comes to pregnancies. But what would you say is the one thing that you learned so much about yourself when you were putting that journey in print?
There was so much I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much I didn't know. And I think it was just coming to terms with things you've always been afraid of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think prior to having all those complications, you don't think about the bad.
Yeah.
When you plan for marriage and oh, you're gonna have a kid one day.
Mm-hmm.
You thinking, okay, my husband's gonna be with me holding my hand at the prenatal appointments and we're gonna see the ultrasound together. So it was coming to terms with fear. It was coming to terms with reality. I remember, and I think I talk about this at one moment in my book. I remember one prenatal appointment. I actually broke down and cried in front of the nurse. It came out of nowhere. It was there underneath the surface, but I was like, oh my God. And she was like, are you okay? And I put words to it. That one moment, Gigi summarized my entire pregnancy. That one moment. And she said, are you? I said, I'm fine. I think I'm just scared. I'm really about to have a baby. And I just, so it meant being, coming to terms with me, with you're not going to just be Ellie now, you're going to be Ellie, the mother, and being okay with it. Don't fight against it, right?
Yeah.
This is happening. Exhale, relax, and see what this journey has to bring. So it just meant coming to terms with the Ellie I was becoming. And I think for so long I was like this, Gigi. I was and once I said that openly, right? It right in the middle of a prenatal appointment, when she's handing me the tissues, I'm like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a mom. Okay, so
Yeah. And I love that. And I remember writing because when I read, this is how I read. I read with a pen in my hand. And this is a multicolored pen. So I do red, I do blue, I do green. But I remember in that, and I was flipping as you were talking because I really was trying to find that page. And I remember writing on the side, when you are a note taker, and I've always been a heavy note taker, I can remember how I wrote things, what color I wrote it in.
Yeah.
And I remember writing on the side of that page because that story was on the left of the page. And I remember that. And I remember writing, oh, this is so good. And then I remember writing under that one word, Ellie, breakthrough.
Absolutely.
Because I felt in that moment.
Absolutely.
I felt in that moment.
Absolutely.
That breakthrough had happened for you.
Yeah.
And to me, this book gives permission. It gives moms permission to feel. It gives moms permission to heal, and it gives moms permission to deal with that fear, deal with that uncertainty, deal with whatever hand is being dealt, but talk about it, express it. And it gave the reader the notion that it's okay to say, I'm not okay. And that's exactly what I got from that. But listen, the thing that I love so much about this book, it is not only a good read, It's a short read, but it's a great read, but it is packed with nuggets. And it's not just applicable to a person who is pregnant. It is applicable to
Absolutely.
everyday life. You have laced this so well with nuggets that are just applicable in everyday life. And what
Mhm.
I loved when you shared that story of how you were so vulnerable in front of the nurse, your reflection at the end of that chapter help walk us all into a newness of,
Mhm.
oh, it's okay to woosah it out and just deal
Mhm. Mhm.
and just deal. So what in those reflections, because they happen at the end of each chapter,
Yes.
and then you have a quote at the beginning of the chapters,
Yes.
and it's almost like an appetizer, then you give us the meat, and the dessert are those
I
reflections.
love that.
And
I
I
love that.
felt like it was intentionally done.
It was.
And
It was.
so because I figured it was intentional,
It
what
was.
do you hope the readers get from those three pieces?
Beautiful question, and thank you for that.
Mhm,
Let me say this before I tell you what I think what I want the reader to get. This formula came from a place of, and I'm talking about, this didn't just happen at 40 years old, right?
mhm,
I look
mhm,
back in retrospect at adolescent Ellie,
mhm,
20-year-old Ellie, the 30-year-old Ellie, right? And there
mhm,
was one thing that was always the same, Gigi. And I believe that this is where I can grab the reader, right? One
mhm.
thing as a human race that we all have in common, it's not so much circumstances or life-changing events or issues, whatever you want to call it, the
Yes.
things that we're dealt with that's overwhelming.
Mhm,
It's the idea of isolation in that circumstance.
mhm.
What do I mean by
Yes.
that? In every chapter of my life, when I was dealt
Mhm,
with a challenge or something life changing or something that it seemed so daunting, when I thought from a perspective of, ain't nobody else going through this, I'm the only
yeah,
one.
yeah.
I can't. And that's what makes a circumstance even more
Mhm.
overwhelming, right?
That
So
comparison.
when I thought about that, I said, well, there were two ends of the spectrum. There was one part of me saying, I'm the only one. But then
Mhm.
there was another part of me saying, what if you're not?
Yes.
What if
Ooh,
somebody else,
good.
and what if you're not? And
Mhm,
how, so it was recognizing that, putting a voice to it and saying,
mhm,
if you're not, Ellie, what is somebody else going through that same thing? What are they in need of?
mhm. That's good.
What can they see? That how did you resolve? How
Mhm.
did you cope? What did you do to deal?
Yes.
And so my formula, that intentional formula, right, of
Mhm.
giving that quote, of giving you the real life raw experience, and then
Yes.
setting up the reflection,
Mhm.
is to say you are not the only one.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
telling you, I've been through that same thing with you, and this is
Mhm.
how, let's get through it together. This is my thing where, even when it's not easy, right?
Yes.
We're
Yes.
walking this thing out together.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
my bottom line. And it's so, at the end of the day, and I don't think I've ever seen even in my pregnancy, right? The whole what to expect when you're expecting. You
Yeah.
read all those
Yeah.
books,
Yeah.
right?
That book.
But I
Yeah.
don't ever remember seeing a book about
Mm-mm.
having two toddlers at 40. I'm tired of cleaning up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need everybody to sit down and be quiet. I needed that
Yeah.
raw
Yeah.
reality. And like I said, and I'm glad you alluded to this. This is not a book just for moms.
Yeah.
I am sharing with you from the
Mhm.
perspective of a mother. But
Right.
these life lessons are for the college student, for
Yes.
the retiree, for the widow, for the any
Mhm.
any person, any demographic, wherever you are, man, woman, boy, or girl. I want you to be able to say, oh my goodness, I never thought of it that way, and I went through
Yeah.
that, something similar, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that formula was intentional, and I wanted the reader to say, oh my goodness,
Yes.
me too. I
Yeah.
went through that
Yeah.
too. This is how she does. So I wanted just to be relatable. Yeah.
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 Well, you nailed it, because I promise you, in here, there were a lot of me, and I know we have a Me Too movement, but there were a lot of Me Too moments in
Yeah.
this book. And
Yeah.
I am going to, because, I done my flagging. I did my flagging. And the one is on page 70. I do know that.
Okay.
So let me tell you, I am someone, Ellie, who I will see a need and I'm in. I jump in, I dive in. And it is nothing wrong with helping and serving, but sometimes I do it to exhaustion. That's where it's unhealthy, right?
Unhealthy.
And very unhealthy. And I was doing so much for so many people that I didn't want to disappoint them. So I put their stuff ahead of me. And I started having my things on the back burner and I started trying to juggle everybody else's agenda and forgetting that I had my own personal agenda and my own personal goals and my own personal, I just need a moments. And so when I got to page 70, which was almost at the end of the book, I said, she strategically did this too. Because
this was the setup. This was the setup.
I was all through this book, but this one little thing that you said on page 70, you said, so instead of making a to-do list, I made a stop doing list.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you that no one know that I did it because of this book, because you'd have a lot of people upset with you. But I'm going to tell you what I did. When I got back into my home from the pool, and it almost seemed, Ellie, like the longest walk from the pool, and it's really not. It's just a couple of breezeways, and I use my key fob and come on in from the community. But it just seemed like a long walk because it was moments of reflection as I was walking, and I was trying to reflect on, what did I just read?
Wow.
Like, I thought it was a book about a pregnancy in the 40s, but why did I get so much out of it? And I'm in my 50s. But I started thinking when I got in here, let me go back and highlight some stuff. Let me see what I really, underlined and put notes on the side of my page. But it was page 70 that stuck out to me the most. And I was like, yes, Lord, that's what I put on here. Yes, Lord, is what I put beside that. And what I did, Ellie, I got out a piece of paper and I started writing down the things that I'm doing that I don't take pleasure in. I'm only doing it because it's for someone else.
Right.
And once I finished compiling that list, I started sending out text messages.
Oh my God.
No longer be doing this. I will no longer be doing that. Oh, and by the way, this Sunday is the last Sunday that I'm going to be doing this for you.
Wow.
I can't do this anymore. And they're like, what? Did something happen? No, I'm just reclaiming my time. And I have now put your stuff on the to-don't list.
Oh my goodness.
Nothing personal.
Nothing personal.
Sometimes we get so engulfed in wanting to be great for other people that we stop showing up for ourselves.
Wow.
And one of the things that this book did for me, it showed me how I had rerouted my entire life to please other people. And that day, when I finished with this, it stopped.
Wow.
And I said, and I used to run home on Sundays. I won't forget. And I did this for a year. I'd run home on Sundays because I was doing just a little blurb for somebody because they just wanted it to show off a little bit. So I'm rushing home and I'm doing this. And then I realized I don't take pleasure in this. And then I'm hurry up and doing it so this individual won't text me and ask me, where is it? Because then that started to annoy me. Like, come on, cut me some slack. It takes me a while to get back home from church. And then I said, but why am I putting myself through this?
Why?
And that page 70 gave me permission to stop. And I have to tell you, I feel so good. I feel so good because I reclaimed my own life.
Yeah.
And even in the book, you mentioned comparison just a few minutes ago. You talked about comparing yourself to others and other situations and circumstances. But I want to talk about this moment of transparency, and I want you to elaborate on it a little bit. You talked about in the chapter, I only have two hands. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I only have two hands. That was back over on 66. This, you dived a little bit more into your marriage in this chapter. And I love the vulnerability, how you thought your husband won't doing enough, but it turned out that Miss Ellie might have been just doing too much. So I'm going to go ahead and let you expound on that a little bit because this is going to bless some folk.
Oh man, that's enough to make me shut my own mouth. So I only have two hands, Gigi. Okay. But one of the things that you said, and this is the root of why I was doing a lot. And I had to do some self evaluation because I wasn't raised in this type of household. It wasn't something that my mother or my parents put on me, but I always internalized not wanting to disappoint people. I don't know. Honest to goodness, I can't tell you where it came from, but my need to do so much and jump in and help stem from I don't want to disappoint them and I
Yeah.
don't want them to be disappointed in me.
Yes.
Right.
Relatable.
So there's a lot, even at 40. Isn't it amazing that even at 42, oh God, thank you, Father, there's a lot I have to unlearn. There's so
Ooh,
much I have to
powerful.
unlearn, right? And
Mm-hmm.
when you're programmed to operate a certain way for so long,
Mm-hmm.
unlearning that is so uncomfortable. It's so
It
uncomfortable. It's
is.
so because it's unfamiliar. It's like, no, but this is not what I do. If I do it
Yeah.
that way, they're not going to be, And I remember in that chapter, just to bring a little context for the
Mm-hmm.
viewers, I only have two hands. I was absolutely overwhelmed, trying to find that work-life balance. I'm still part of corporate America. I'm supporting, five directors. Got two toddlers at home, and I'm, you know, going from one thing to it's nonstop, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't have a cutoff. And I remember this is just a funny example of just to put it into context. My daughter was talking to me the other night, and it was almost bedtime. And she's at a stage now. Oh, God bless her soul, Gigi. She's at a stage now. She asked me a question. I answered her. She said, "But why?" I said, "Well, Gianna, such and such and such." She said, "But why?" And I said, "Well, they did this because." And then she said it one more time. She said, "But why, mommy?" I said, "Listen here." I said, "You got one more." I said, "Let me tell you something. It's 8 o'clock. It's bedtime." And
Mm-hmm.
mommy's, this is the words I mean, I'm laughing to myself now, but my
Yeah.
husband's sitting on the couch half asleep, but he's like laughing to. I said, "Gianna, mommy's brain is shut off right now." I said, "Let me tell you something." I said, "This is me." And I
Oh,
love our dynamic because how
yeah.
I talk, Gigi, this is how I talk to my 5-year-old, which is
Yeah.
probably why she's so mature and so in
Yeah.
tune with her
Mhm.
feelings, right? She's
Absolutely.
not disrespectful. She's not, smart mouth, but she
Yeah.
talks to me how I talk to her. I said, "Listen," I said, "Mommy has to think from the time I get up to the time." I said, "Do you know, even when I'm sleeping, I think?" And she's just staring at me like, I said, "So you cannot ask me why one more time." I
Uh-huh.
said,
Yeah.
"Mommy's brain is shut off right now." And
Yeah.
this goes back to, I'm just
Mhm.
doing so much. I only have two hands, Gianna, and so she said, she said, "My brain's tired too, mommy." I said, "Yeah, because it's bedtime." I said, "So you feel me? You understand where I am right now?" And so in that chapter, when I talk about I only have two hands, it's saying, listen, this is my capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that need for whatever reason to go beyond
Yeah.
what I know my capacity is,
Mm-hmm.
you may on one end saying, "Hey, I did that today," right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's outweighed with I am absolutely exhausted. So
Exhausted.
where's the win, Gigi?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the win? You can say, "Man, I did XYZ," and you got that to-do list checked off,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if I can't even think
Mm.
at the end of the day, every bone in my body is tired. Where's the
Mm.
reward? You
Yeah.
just
Oh,
you,
that's
you
good.
you good enough with high fiving yourself and saying I did this? Well, sis,
Mm-hmm.
anybody can say they did that, but I want to still have me at the end of the day. I don't want to be depleted of
Yes.
everything that I am, and
Yes.
so that moment, and even having that conversation with my husband. And I think I shared this, and he was, when he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, and he said, well, Ellie, you know, I would help more. But you pretty much, he was saying, you act like you superwoman.
Yeah.
You tell me never mind, and you just get it done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I had to unlearn that. Well, I'll just do it myself
Mm-hmm.
attitude. I had to unlearn that, Gigi, and
And
not
I
even
loved
unlearning it,
that.
being
Yeah.
being okay with it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
being okay
Love
with
it.
letting go.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And sometimes that's the thing. We if because I remember my husband when our kids were younger, and if he didn't move fast enough, because your brain is churning and you know all the things that need to be done. And I'm like, if only he would see all this that I have to do, if only if he would know. And then I went through I laughed so hard at that chapter. My toes hurt. My toes hurt because they were being stepped on. And that was years ago. Ellie, my kids are 37 and 31. So
Wow.
they are men, right? But I
Wow.
still remembered like it was yesterday. I was looking, I'll never forget one time my husband was looking at a football game. And I was like, if he turned that game off, he would notice that I'm overwhelmed.
Maybe
I'm
he could help me.
out, I'm exhausted, and I just need a break.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I would, Ellie, and this is my truthful moment.
Mm.
I remember slamming stuff and hitting stuff while the game was on, just making noise. So
Making
he could
noise.
hear me. And he looked at me and said, is it that you need something? And then I unleashed the beast. I was like, need something. I've been needing something since this child was born, and I've been doing
Oh
all
my
this stuff.
goodness.
And he looked at me and said, so I don't help at all.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
when I read that chapter, it was such a good chapter, but it was so relatable because we put that S on our chest and we forget we really are
We
not superwoman.
we put the S on our chest. Yeah.
We.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So that was really a good transparent moment. And
Yeah.
I thank you for sharing it because it needed to be shared. So what would you what boundaries have you set, or what things have you put in place, because you said you wanted to stay true to who you are? How do you still have your Ellie identity in conjunction with the identity of I'm a wife, the identity of I'm a mom to two, the identity of I had kids late in the game? How do you still create the time, the space, and the knowledge of who Ellie wants to be?
Thank you so much for asking that. And that's a great question. So what I want to share, and I really hope, and this is not, again, not just for mothers, this is for the busy person, period.
Yeah,
This is
yes.
for everyone. And please hear me when I say this. Two things, Gigi. Give yourself grace and
Yes.
pick your battles. Watch me and listen to me. I'm going to explain what I mean by that. I said, give yourself grace and pick your battles. What do I
Yeah.
mean? Again, it wasn't the household I was raised in. It wasn't how, it wasn't how I grew up. But when I say give yourself grace, I think this is just something we as women, it's just in our DNA, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I could not accept less than. I could not, and this is just me. I've never been at odds with anybody but Ellie.
Oh, that's good.
Ellie has
That's
always
so
set
good.
standards for Ellie, right? I've never lived a life of, man, I gotta compete with her. I've always been my competition, if that makes sense, right?
Oh, absolutely it does.
I'm saying that to say this. When I say I had to unlearn so much and give myself grace, because I'm seeing innocently how I'm making impressions upon my daughter, that making a mistake is, oh goodness, it's wait a minute, it's okay, you can make a mistake, you can pull back, you can. So when I say give yourself grace, I had to stop this standard of, and this is just me, Gigi, I've always been, you have to execute excellence.
Yes.
I
Yes.
never wanted anything less for myself, but that's
Mhm.
the way I've been built. It's the
Mhm.
way I'm
Mhm.
programmed, right? But at what cost?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you mean to tell me on the days you don't execute excellence, you're nothing, you're a failure, you
Yeah.
feel less than? Give yourself grace.
Yes.
I
Yes.
showed up today.
Yes.
I
Oh, I
might have,
love it.
I might not have packed the right lunch for Gianna, but I bet you she had a great day at school.
Yeah.
Give
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
grace. And then when I say pick your battles, I'm just going to use an example. Um, I remember, and a lot of this relates to my OCD, right? I hate clutter. Gigi, I don't like, I'm a strong believer in everything has a place and
Yeah.
there's a place for
Yeah.
everything. So
Hmm.
can you imagine how my world was turned upside down with two toddlers and toys everywhere?
Whew.
This is not, I mean, I'm all over the place, right? And I remember it took someone else coming in, looking in from the outside. And I remember
Mhm.
one day my sister made a visit and she saw me in between. I might have been washing dishes, cooking, but every few minutes I was cleaning up, clean up.
Mhm.
And she said, Ellie, how many times you gonna pick up their toys? And I said, well, I need to be clean. She said, listen, when I babysit them for you, I clean up one time
Mhm.
when it's
That's when they're
bedtime.
done. Mhm.
And when I say pick your battles, and
Mhm.
when she said that, and I noticed too, and I said, well, I feel like my husband does the same thing. He's not around the house running around 20 times a day.
Mhm.
They've had their bath, they're in the bed. Now we can clear. And I said, oh my God, that has given me back so much time,
Mhm.
Gigi. And I know it sounds simple. I know it sounds simple, but the not running around, the
Mhm.
stopping and saying, Ellie, is this really worth? Ask yourself, when I say pick your battles, everything is not worth the effort and the energy that you're
Yes.
giving it.
Yes. Yes.
So in those moments where I was usually frazzled, right? And
Mhm.
frustrated and flustered, I can now sit down. You know what? I'm going to fix me a cup of tea. I'm going to
Yeah.
sit down and calm down. And I've even taken it a step further. A few months ago, I told my husband, again, this is me balancing that life and getting my me time back. I
Mhm.
said, babe, Fridays and Saturdays, I'm not cooking anymore. Because I
Yeah.
cook a lot.
Good
We
for
we
you.
we don't eat out. We might
Yeah.
eat out twice a month, but I'm into just
Mhm.
nutritional things, and we're gonna going out for us is a treat with two kids, and we
Yes.
just
Yes.
I love it. We have those times, but I said Fridays and Saturdays I'm not. I didn't even ask. I said I'm not cooking. And he
Mhm.
said, and I said that doesn't mean we have to eat out. That means either you prep dinner or you plan or you cook or we're gonna go somewhere. But little things like that.
Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
things like that
Mhm.
make the big moments. It's like,
Yes.
oh my
Yes.
gosh, now I have my whole weekend. I can just
Yes.
relax. So be mindful,
Mhm.
give yourself grace, and pick your battles.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, like I said, when I first picked up the book, when you look at the cover, you're thinking it's going to be a children's book. And then when you get into it and you're reading a little bit more, you think, oh, it's going to be a book about someone who was pregnant late in the game. But I did not, I have to be very honest with you, I did not realize the nuggets that I would be taking from here. And again, I'm sure the viewers could see me flipping some pages because I have tagged so much stuff that I kind of want to read. This is one of your beginning quotes, and this was in the Just Try It, Please chapter.
Ah,
The quote that you put at the beginning says, trying, which is a testament to what you just talked about,
mhm.
trying and failing deserves praise. I'm going to tell you, I'm 55 years old. I have never heard that before a day in my life until I read this book. Trying and failing deserve praise because never having tried produces nothing at all. Now, again, I'm thinking I'm reading a book about certain things, but this is a life nugget because we beat ourselves up so much, and who knew that you and I'd have that in common, that we just want to please people, we just want to do this
Yeah,
and make sure this person is good and make sure you serve. And I think some of that has to do with a lot of our upbringing. When you hear about given to others is greater to give than it is to receive. And
right.
so sometimes we do have to retrain our thoughts,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we need to reprogram us in the
Yeah.
thought. And
Yeah.
so I love this because, and I wrote on my page, good. That was so good, because we feel like if we fail at something, it's the end of the world.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
sometimes failure has a blessing in it. It's a blessing in disguise in failures,
Yeah.
because it gives us the permission to try again.
Yes.
And then sometimes it's a revelation that it's probably something we shouldn't have tried in the first place, because it
Okay.
wasn't designed for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
Spirit didn't mean for us to have that.
Right. Right.
So I absolutely love that. And one of the things, I was trying to find this. Oh my goodness, it blessed me so much. And I thought I had tabbed it, but I'm going to find it. Because Ellie, there was just so many good nuggets. One of the things you talked about, and I put a yes with probably 10 S's behind it. As I recount the past, I think of one of the mistakes I continue to make was trying too hard to see the bigger picture and allowing that picture to overwhelm me. That's so good, because we do that. We do that in life in general, trying to look at the bigger picture instead of just like the bigger picture of, oh gosh, if I don't hurry up and get these toys up, then what? So you just don't get them
Then
up.
what? Then what?
It's the then what.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's somewhere in here also you talked about the ifs. And I love that. Expound a little bit on the ifs that you encountered throughout life, and then you get to this age of almost 40 and pregnant, and I'm pretty sure you had to switch up your ifs a little bit.
I
If I
did.
didn't do this, if this were to
Yeah.
happen, if.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up, and that was towards the beginning of the book,
Mhm.
and I wrote that because, full transparency, I know that's something everyone has an if, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And to put that into context, I basically aim to let readers know it doesn't matter what stage of life you're in. There's always going to be what if. There's
Mhm.
always so thinking like that from that perspective always left me walking and living. I won't even say living, just because I was existing, right?
Yeah. Ooh,
In a
that's good.
void. Right. There's a
Mhm.
difference between living and existing,
Yes.
and existing or maintaining a mindset of what if, or if
Mhm.
keeps you stuck in a void, in a feeling of unsatisfaction. You're never going to be fulfilled because
Yeah.
there's always going to be that if you're holding on to. And what
Mhm.
I meant by that was, as a 20-year-old, I was like, well, if I had this, I could be here now.
Mhm.
If I had finished, this course, I would be here. And then in 30, I might have finished the course, but at 30, it was like, well, if I did this, or if my mom was here, if my dad was here, I would, so there's always gonna be something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's always gonna be something. And I had to turn that off, because
Mm.
when you talk about those moments of what if or if, and looking at the bigger picture, right?
Mhm.
Not seeing the moment I was in, it was robbing me of so
Mhm.
much, right?
Yeah, that's
So I
good.
was so when you get so overwhelmed and you're focused on this thing, Ellie, what's right in front of you?
Mhm. Ooh.
You're stealing that moment from yourself.
Yeah.
It's robbing you of
Mhm.
the here and now, because I'm so overwhelmed with, no,
Mhm.
Ellie, hone in and stay here.
Yeah.
Because if you
Yeah.
hone in and you stay here, you're going to get to that bigger picture. But
Yeah.
again, that was for me to learn, right? And I'm
Yeah.
still learning. And I want to say it like this. Please don't think because I wrote this book with all these nuggets out, this is an ongoing journey, Gigi. I'm still I haven't, yes, I got it. Now
Yes.
I
Yes.
know. No, no,
Yeah.
no. My 5-year-old just taught me something else the other week. And I'm still, so this is
Yeah.
ongoing, but
Mhm.
it's a work in progress,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's a process and it's a work in progress, but
Mhm.
it's knowing that, in those moments, right?
Yeah.
If you can grab a hold of that,
Mhm.
then the bigger picture doesn't overwhelm you. The bigger
Yeah.
picture doesn't, it's not daunting. It's because I'm here. I'm here and in the here and now, and I'm not going to rob myself of these moments anymore.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's so good. So, Ellie, I could talk to you all day about this book, but your reflections, I promise you, because I've been scanning through, and I just wrote so good on so much. But one of your reflections, you stop. Almost all of them, you have a question at the end. I
Yeah.
call those ponder moments.
Oh, good.
And
Yeah.
one of them, I was trying to find it. I thought I'd flagged it. You asked, what would you change or what would you do different at this point? And I found it. It says, if you had to do it again,
Mm.
what moment or moments in your life would you embrace differently this time around and how? And if I'm going to read a book that has a self-help component to it, which are your reflections, by the way, thank you for
Mhm.
those. So I wrote on here, Ellie, and just to be real transparent, I wrote on here my marriage. I
Wow.
wrote in here my
Wow.
marriage
Wow.
because even though this book's talk about your journey as a pregnant mom in a late stage of your life, there are still relatable moments that have nothing to do with a pregnancy for me, but it had everything to do with me not being prepared when I got married, me not being healed when I was married, when I got married, me not being delivered from anger, from childhood trauma when I got married. So I saw that takeaway. I saw how you don't have to be perfect, but there are some things before you enter into situations and circumstances that you should try to bring to some type of resolve, because I
Right.
do believe it was the result of a dissolve in my marriage. And so it was just one of my transparent moments. And then from that, it caused me to journal more about that. And so when I say this book did more for me than just about me reading your journey, it blessed me, which is why I wanted to be able to have you on here so I could let you know from the reader's perspective how I got so much from the reflections and the quotes. I indulged in the appetizers, which were those quotes. I
Yeah.
got deeply embedded in the body of it. But
Oh.
then I was able to really bask in the reflections. And so
Mm.
I want to thank you for strategically orchestrating a self help book hidden
My goodness.
behind the gem of this should be easy.
My goodness.
It did that for me, which is why it's so heavily tabbed and why I wanted to have you on here. So, from the author's perspective, what I just told you what I gained as a reader, but what, when you wrote this memoir or the beginning of something to come, what did you hope the reader would gain from it?
I, and I'm saying this because I can only give someone what I've been given, right? So I want the reader to unpack those parts of you that you have not given a voice to.
Yeah.
I want the reader to unpack
Mm.
the subconscious. It's there, it's
Yes.
in your mind,
Mhm.
and either whether it's fear or uncertainty
Mhm.
or uncomfortability, all of that coupled in one that's keeping you from bringing it to reality
Yeah.
and giving a voice to it. That's what I want the reader to do. I want you to take the intricate, the corners and the crevices of that are inside of you, right? That you, when after you read it, you can say, "Oh man, she said it out loud."
Mhm.
I
Yes.
want you to be okay with the uncomfortable parts of you. I want you to put a voice to it and
Yeah.
whatever you have to do. And that's why I say I'm so I don't think it's strange that this is, the way I'm ending, my year, because it this book and what I want uh
Mhm.
it to accomplish for the reader. Let this be your setup for the new year to come. Let this
Yes.
be your
Ooh.
setup. This is the setup.
Mhm.
This is, and you alluded to this, and I'm probably jumping ahead here, but um when he gave me that, this is easy, right? So
Mhm.
what's coming next is, now again, this was from the perspective of a mother. This should be easy. But immediately what dropped in my spirit is, this ain't easy. Memoirs of a middle-aged wife, right?
Yeah.
But this is and again, just like this isn't limited, it's not a book for just mothers.
It's
The
not.
next installment is not a book for just wives. I'm
Mhm.
talking about relationships, period. You have
Yeah.
relationships with your girlfriends, you have relationships with your coworker, you have relationships with your managers, you have, people in your community. So I'm talking about, so what I want the reader to do and what I'm hoping to accomplish is, after you close this book,
Mhm.
after you look at those reflections, right?
Mhm.
After you see those quotes in the beginning, I want you to put this down, and I want all of those things underneath the surface to come to the forefront. That's what
Mhm.
I want for the reader.
Well, let me say to you, author Ellie Wansley, mission accomplished, because that's what it did for me. I had no idea that I would be reading a book at a pool and it would make things come up to the surface.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when I think of that, just metaphorically, how there were kids in the pool underneath, they were
Uh,
underwater and they were just under there, they were gliding. But then all of a sudden, they popped up.
they popped up.
And that's what happened, because I was like, why am I writing something about my marriage in here? It's because in that subconscious level, there was some unfinished business. And
Mhm.
so this book is a great self-help book, not just for the person who's pregnant. And by the way, before we go, what would you say to that mother or that mother to be that maybe they're not even pregnant? They're 35 years old and they always wanted a child. What would you say to that person that has someone in their ear saying, well, that's high risk, which is true. As a healthcare practitioner, I have to say that that is true. It's considered high risk. But what would you say to encourage that person on the start of that journey?
I want to um, give you advice that wasn't given to me, and of course, it was a almost like on the job training. I was learning as I went through it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I would say now, if you know beforehand, or if you are in an early trimester, whether you're with child now or whether you're planning to be, get all the information that you can.
Mhm.
Ask questions. And I think that's one of the things that I was able to, that breakthrough moment you talked about when I went to a
Mhm.
prenatal appointment. I was vulnerable in that moment
Mhm.
because I was comfortable, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think every appointment I was asking something.
Mhm.
Ask the questions,
Yes,
and when I
yes.
say ask the questions, don't Google WebMD. I'm not. You gonna Google yourself into a into a
Yes.
headache and a don't. That's not what I mean. I mean,
Yeah, because that's a whole nother battle you don't want. Because
that
Dr.
might give you high
Google
blood
and
pressure.
Dr.
So
WebMD will have you thinking things.
yeah, yeah, sis. I'm not saying that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
Yeah.
talk to your doctor,
Yes. Yes.
and something else too. And but we again, there's a lot we have to learn. We do this as women.
Hmm.
I did a lot of comparing
Yeah.
based on, well, I told you I had so many friends that were
Hmm.
pregnant, but
Hmm.
pregnant at 20 something is not pregnant at 40. They could not
Not the
give me the
same.
advice I was
Yeah.
looking for. You
Yeah.
understand? So
Hmm. That's good.
be careful with comparison.
Yeah. That's
Ask
good.
the questions, talk to your doctor,
Mhm.
but don't compare yourself. Well, my friend over there, when she had a kid, you ain't her, sis.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? This is your journey and everyone is different. None of my friends preeclampsia, what? Because they didn't know.
Yes.
This was unheard of.
Mhm.
They didn't go through these. Their pregnancies were smooth. I
Yeah.
think every last one of them gave birth naturally. I had two C-sections, Gigi. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
These are the things that need to be talked about. So
Mhm.
my advice to you is it's not too late. You're 35. I want you to, change your mindset, your train of thought. So let's get
Mhm.
that out the door. But if you are there and if you are headed there, ask the questions,
Yeah.
talk to your doctor, and don't compare. Don't
Yes.
compare. Yeah.
Yes. And how important, because this is something in reading the book, I could see that you had. How important is a support system?
Beautiful question. Listen to me here. And I love that you asked this because a lot of people may be on that journey or on their way to
Mhm.
becoming a mother. But I talk a lot about my husband. There's somebody with child or could be
Mhm.
there and they're not married. So
Mhm.
when we say, I want to be clear about this.
Yes.
When
Yes.
we say support system, I'm not talking about my husband.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not just talking about my husband, right?
Mhm.
Support is valuable in so many areas and aspects because my mom is here, my sisters are here, but outside of that, like I said, I've always had Gigi, and I think every woman can say this. I know who my core
Yeah.
girls are.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
I'm not, when we talk about support and you're talking about high risk pregnancy, what my husband gonna tell me about? He don't know none of
Mhm.
this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's take that out of the equation. When we talk about
Mhm.
support, I don't care if it's one person, you know who your one person, and I knew
Yeah.
who my people were. Gigi,
Mhm.
I have my people. So
Yeah.
I'm not through that journey of high risk pregnancy, right? That
Mhm.
geriatric pregnancy and
Yeah.
becoming a toddler
Yeah.
mom at 40. Outside of husband, outside of sisters and mom, I had my core. I had my girl. So know who your support is.
Mhm.
First, recognize that, right? That's what I would say.
Mhm.
Recognize who your support system is. And like I said, even if it's just one person,
Yes.
it could be for someone, your church community, your
Mhm.
women's fellowship ministry. Whatever it is for you, pull on them. Right,
Yeah.
right. Lean
Yeah.
on them. Lean on. That's
Yeah.
what they're there for. Because there were times, my husband was right there. He was there, right?
Mhm.
But there were times, even in that, Gigi, husband didn't get it. You don't even understand right now, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta go talk to my core, but
Yeah.
I knew who my core was and what my
Yeah.
support. So recognize who your support is, where your support is, and lean on them. Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier about giving yourself grace. Give yourself that grace to be vulnerable with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And and it's really hard because the circles I keep my circle very, very small.
Hmm.
And because of the person that I've always patterned myself to be, that person that shows up for everyone, that person that does for everyone, Ellie, again, this book gave me so many different permissions that I just didn't see, right? It gave me the permission to finally be vulnerable because in this moment when I was reading this book, I was going through something. And yeah, and so it allowed me to pick up the phone and just be vulnerable with someone for the first time in my life
Oh
because
my goodness.
I've just never been that person. I just deal with things the way they happen. And I did not see this podcast going in this direction. But when I tell you it was so important for me to have you on this show
Mm.
because of
Mm.
what your ministry in general, when I first met you or when I first laid eyes on you, what that did for me. And then this book, I was able to pick up the phone and I was able to talk to someone about the things that I was going through that was really weighing me down. And I
Oh,
know that I have a strong relationship with the Lord, but every once in a while, you just need that moment
you
where
need it.
someone can just hear you. I have been the ears for so many people, the
Mm.
voice for so many people that I was getting to a point, Ellie, where I said, but who is showing up for me?
For me.
And this book, This Should Be Easy, taught me that I needed to show up for me first. So I thank you again. Again, I didn't see it ending this way, but listen,
Uh,
I believe in vulnerability. I believe in transparency. Anyone knows me now, I'm a super transparent person.
absolutely.
And I can't thank you enough for your story being in print, but now embedded here for
Oh,
me.
man. Wow.
So thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Lazille Enterprises for putting together a great piece.
Yes.
I know your mom was very instrumental in a lot
So
of this,
thankful. Yes.
and I am grateful and thankful to the both of you. You for putting it in print, and her for producing a great print. Another great publication. I'm looking forward to your next. I am
I
looking
am.
forward to your next. So tell us, because I don't want someone to grab your next without having your now. How can they get a copy of
It
This Should Be Easy?
Thank you so much for that. So it is available on Amazon.com. You simply have to put in the title, or you can type in Lazille Enterprises. But yeah, the book title is available. If you type that in on Amazon.com, it is available there in paperback or hardcover. So we do have both available. Uh, I am just thankful, Gigi. I am overwhelmed. I can't thank you enough because my mind is already thinking ahead, right?
Yeah.
And I just solicit your prayers and support for what's to come.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean in terms of my next book, because I'm that's already being manifested. And that next book is going to be even greater. But I mean, this has ignited. Thank you, Father.
Mm.
Thank you, Father.
Hallelujah.
Thank you, Father.
Mm. Yes. There's a
This
need.
has ignited a passion for me.
Mhm.
When you talk about ministry,
Yeah.
and I said this before we were on, and I need viewers to understand this. I said, God, I am not aiming. I'm not that. I need 1 million views. I
Yeah.
need 1,000 likes or clicks. I don't want my name in bright lights, but I said, God, my passion is to advocate, encourage, motivate. I mean, I'm an intercessor at heart.
Yeah.
So all I want to do, this has ignited, having this book manifest has ignited a passion in me to speak, to use my voice.
Yeah.
And this is what I see for me in the new year as I look to rebrand. Don't want
Yeah.
to delve in too much there just yet, but as I look to rebrand, and when I talk about my brand again, the root and the foundation will always be, we said this word so many times during this podcast, but the root of my brand, that will never change, is to be relatable and
Yeah.
transparent, right? So even in the next book, what I hope to do, and what I hope that you would see more of, is me using my voice, right?
Mhm.
Various platforms, just to, like I said, advocate for those, anybody who's in need. I started with the audience of young women, because I was that
Yeah.
13-year-old Ellie, and then the 20-year-old. But at this point, Gigi, it's every demographic. It's man, woman, boy, girl. I
Mhm.
want you to be motivated. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to live your blessed life. And like
Yeah.
I said, I say it in this book, and this is my mantra, that we're walking this thing out together, even
Yeah.
when it's not easy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's almost like in reading it, it's almost like you're literally holding the hand of the reader. That's how transparent and relatable this book is. And
That's how
so
I want you to feel.
I'm excited about, as you were talking and sharing and pausing for Holy Spirit to speak to you on what you can and cannot share in this hour, I heard clearly, Ellie, that this is about to spark a movement called the It's Okay movement. And whatever I can do to help create the platform and to help get it out, I avail myself for God to use me in that capacity, because I believe in your ministry. But even more so than that, I truly believe in the God that dwells deep on the inside of you. And I just thank you because I was a participant in the It's Okay movement, because my journaling that took place after I read this book helped start me on a journey that I did not know I needed to be on. So again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being bold enough to be transparent enough, to be vulnerable enough so that I could get a part of me healed that you didn't even know needed the healing. So for that, I say thank you. I'm deeply, deeply hold gratitude in my heart for you for this. So thank you. Thank you for being on the Your Next Season podcast. Again, I am excited about your next, and I cannot wait to see how God uses your voice and your platform to bless the masses, because it's going to happen. So again, Ellie Wansley, thank you. I'm going to have all of Ellie's information on the screen. I know that you've had, since your book launch, you've had quite a few engagements that you've been a part of. Again, I was blessed before the launching of your book to be a part of your ministry when you were a guest speaker for a very, very powerful conference that I have had the privilege and pleasure of attending. And that was the Gathering of the Daughters with Pastor Patrice Thornhill. I love that woman of God with all my heart, and I know that you do too. So it has just been truly a blessing. And even to watch from the sidelines how God is using you to get the word out that it is okay. So thank you for your obedience as well, Ellie. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I will leave you with any final words that you would like to say, or anything that you would like to bless us with before you exit. And again, all of her information is on the screen and the where you can purchase the book as well. So
thank you again.
I
really believe in and again, we advocate for this. This should be easy. Again, is an installment of. It's a 3-part series, right? So we do have 2 other books coming forth, but it is an extension of the Walking with the Wansleys ministry. We do have a YouTube page, Facebook as well. But again, we're looking to rebrand. So, and I believe in that. I'm a strong believer in, if I have to press pause on something, we talked about this earlier. If I'm going to do something, going back to that execute in excellence, right? I got to be all in. It's got to be done the right way. So I just want viewers to be on the lookout. 2026, Walking with the Wansleys, and the next installment of the Easy series. As it comes forth, we just solicit your prayers and support because of what's to come from this ministry. And again, if you guys need to reach me, email is there. You can purchase the book on Amazon.com. But yeah, just keep us uplifted for the new year, because I am expecting great things.
And I am excited and cannot wait to see what God is going to do. And I know whatever he's going to do, it will be marvelous in our eyes. So again, thank you so much, Ellie, for joining us here on the Your Next Season podcast. This is Gigi Hopkins saying until next time, be blessed.
Thank you for listening to the Your Next Season podcast, the show designed to keep you informed and uplifted through candid conversations with our guests and host, motivational speaker and life coach Gigi Hopkins. Again, thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe.